Boom! What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Unbreakable Confidence. It's your host, Ryan Romano, and I am with the true legend of them all, the one and only Mr. Alex Bender. Man, appreciate you blocking out for a little bit of time today to sit down with me and, for lack of better terms, shoot the shit.
Absolutely, man. You know me, I just had to get my little terrorist down to bed for a little nap and we good to roll.
He really is the definition of wild child.
I thought Maria would be the wildest kid on the planet, but she don't hold a candle to Owen.
Yeah.
My
cool,
God.
man.
Having
Like, I know
boys-
our biggest thing is actually going to be keeping an eye on the time that, we keep this thing to about 30, 35 minutes and don't sit on here and flap our gums for a couple hours. So
do it.
let's jump right into it. All right. So biggest thing, obviously, for those of you guys that do not know Alex, Alex has been, we've known each other since, baseball days back like 5, 6, 7 years old.
First communion, church.
Literally went through first communion together, T-ball, all the way up. We were high school buddies together, where he was the superstar, he was the rock star, he's the TV legend, MTV, 2-a-days, woo!
Still waiting on that paycheck. I'm still waiting.
Say that again.
Still waiting on that paycheck.
Maybe we need to go talk to him because they made the one with the new one on Netflix now, didn't they? We need to go talk to him.
Oh, yeah. The one with Probst at over in Georgia.
Yeah.
Have you watched it yet?
Yeah.
It's entertaining. He's a different guy now. It's entertaining.
A little bit different. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So, obviously, like I've always, introduced you as, always considered you a high level athlete. You've got, the movie star status, and then, really developing into like who you are as a person now, finding out like what it is that you've, been able to enjoy, find that passion, into, what you're doing now and, absolutely killing it, I guess for lack of better terms, in the sales game.
Yep.
So let's jump in. So biggest question I usually ask most people kind of kicking things off is, we all have like our own uniquenesses about us. We all have like, what I call like, I guess our superpowers, right? And there's those things that really help us stand out in terms of like what drives us in our careers, what drives us in our relationships, as a parent, it could be. So what would you term is some of your 1, 2, 3, uniquenesses or superpowers that you have that allow you to stand out just in life in general, man?
Man, it's funny you mentioned that. We just kind of went through that with some stuff with work and kind of realizing that I have a very long fuse. I have the most unbelievable amount of patience on the planet. I used to be quick-tempered, ready to rock and roll, ready to throw down and fight over anything back in middle school and high school. And then now, between kids, work, wife, all that, I've developed a unbelievable amount of patience and the ability to disarm a situation, especially in the sales world now. Everybody wants to fight. You walk into a job trailer, you walk into someone's home office, and they're ready to fight 99% of the time. They hate you. You're a salesman. And I have done an unbelievably good job of walking in and disarming folks. And I realize I've been doing that my whole life.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the negative. And instead of trying to fight your negatives, everybody's got them. The ability to embrace them and work past them and utilize your strengths, laugh at your flaws that you have, make jokes about it, move on from it, man. That's I'd say those right there are kind of like how I've got to where I am. And then I realized that I was a salesman all this time, and now actually utilizing it and getting paid for it is a blast.
Yeah, makes life more fun and easier.
Yeah, a lot easier. Yeah, a lot less stress.
For sure. So how did you what would you say is like, how did you make that shift? Obviously from, high school kind of stepping into really your career and adulthood, like really fast, right? Faster than
Yep.
most of us. So how did you, or what was that, that light bulb in a sense that went off that said like, damn, like I really got to pump the brakes in terms of like, just firing off, getting frustrated, getting mad, and really shifting into that more like patient personality that you have now?
Man, easy answer is I realized that um I was not good enough at any one thing, or anybody was going to write me a paycheck to do any one thing. That I was going to have to diversify, going to have to open up my personality, get into that uncomfortable zone. That's just part of life. And when the bills started coming in, and I'm 20, 21 years old, and got some tough love from my parents, not in a mean way. They just wanted me to grow up,
Right.
and they they just said, hey, we'll help you any way we can, but we're not going, you're on your own financially.
Mm-hmm.
And very first thing I did was I used my body to make money. And I don't mean that I wasn't on a street corner. I just meant like in the construct. I wouldn't be making a whole lot if I was doing that. And the I was using my physical attributes to make money. I had the ability to go out and work in the construction trades and landscape trades, and that was great and wonderful and all. But it just around age 27, 28 is when body started breaking down a little bit. Really never took care of myself physically over the years, but that was when the light bulb started going off, that I got to find a way to work with my brain instead of my body.
Yeah.
And those years of learning, learning the lingo, learning different trades, learning the construction world, you can make a living off of it. And that's I think it's great to see that a lot of schools nowadays are allowing kids to omit some of the BS classes and go work, go get a job, go do your thing. I think it's cool, man. I would have loved to have done that when we were in high school. And the at the end of the day, the light switch for me was a lot of personal pride. I didn't want anybody giving anything to me. I wanted to provide for me and my young family at the time, and I wanted a life that I didn't have at the time. And the only way to get there is to crack down and do your thing, man. I mean, it's I know that sounds super simple, but you try to simplify your life, take anything that's not contributing to it out of it,
Yeah.
and that helps you real fast.
So you said too is like early on, obviously, like jumping into a career earlier than most, right? Like, when 2021, we can go into the whole college baseball thing if we want to. But I think is once you started getting into your career, because the biggest thing that I find with so many people, early 20s, like 20, 21, 22, even ones that have like gone to college, like gotten their degree, and like they still have this struggle to figure life out in terms of a career. And a lot of it is like lack of identity, lack of like feeling actually valuable, that they can provide
Yep.
something for a company or someone. Was there any hurdles or struggles for you there early on in terms of like knowing the value that you could provide? Because to me I think later on, like as the years went on, that was like another big light bulb for you is realizing, how much knowledge and value you can provide, and really get compensated for that. But
Yeah.
early on, when you were jumping in, was there any like struggles or like, for lack of better terms, like confidence issues there, jumping right into a career? Or did you just take the first thing that came? How was that process for you in terms of like making that shift from athlete to career?
Dude, I can't take the very early on struggle was crazy. I would throw my name in the hat for a job, having no clue what it was, what the deal was behind it. And of course, my time at that time, I wanted to be around sports. I wanted to be, so the first thing, I took a job up at Gold's Gym selling memberships. Hated it. Couldn't stand it. Worst job on the
I
planet.
don't even think I knew that.
Oh, dude, it was so short lived. I got like one paycheck, and I just remember, I just remember being like, man, the people up here are scumbags, and I'm right here with them. So what does that make me?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to knock on Gold's Gym. It's just factual at the time. And then I went and took a job selling cable memberships, like cable internet phone packages out. And I'll never forget it, man. I didn't know anything about it. It was just, I needed a paycheck, and I get out there and realize, dude, you're walking through neighborhoods getting guns pulled on you and shit. I was just like, you know what? I'm good. I gotta back this down, and let's kind of dumb this situation down a little bit. And the only area that I thought maybe I would be of some value in would be with my hands. I was like, man, I'm young, I'm smart, well-spoken, and I can work all day. I can do something all day and not wear out. Yeah. And I'd be perfectly honest with you, dude, I needed the money. I mean, point blank, I needed the money. And so I had to find that balance, and I ended up falling in love with landscaping. I mean, I really did. It ended up providing me with over a decade of time working for a company, staying in the same place, making good friends, making good customers. And it's kind of funny that even though that was just a take a job to get paid situation, I have customers now that I call on and that call on me that I had 15 years ago, whatever it was, 13, 14 years ago when I started landscaping.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that not only did those people make an impact on me, but I made an impact on them. But yeah, that was early on, man. It was guided, solely on the fact of I got a baby. I got to figure out a way to pay for this thing.
Yeah.
And fast. And that was kind of what drove that. And I think you're right. The most, that generational gap, that 21, 22-year-old group right now is getting fed a lot of horseshit from Facebook about everything should be free. You should graduate and somebody should offer you $100K and 15 vacation days. It's just not out there. And I think people are irresponsible by pushing that narrative out there. I think everyone, you can't sell or do anything that you haven't really put your hands on. Just like you're about to coach a kid in wrestling. What good would you be if you never wrestled?
Right.
I mean, it's that's in every aspect of work, period. That you got to pay your dues at some point. It doesn't matter what pieces of paper you have. And don't get me wrong, college degree is great. I'd give my left arm to go back and get one. But, at the end of the day, people are realizing now that college is more about proving you can utilize time management.
Yeah.
More than anything. And I don't want to take any of that for granted. If you have a chance to go. But my goodness, there are other options out there. And you can actually, it may take time, but you can find your niche. You can find your place. For sure.
Well, I think that's where, like, oh my gosh, so many people struggle too, is like you said, is there's this, because, a decade or 2 decades ago, like that was the common thing is like you needed that degree to be able to apply and get in anywhere. And nowadays is like the greatest thing that you can provide somebody is like having some type of experience. And, for me is like, being around a lot of these, college athletes and having conversations and mentoring them is like, start dipping your toes in all different types of water to see what you like, man. Like, don't get out there, because that's the problem. Is what happens is kind of similar situation to you is all of a sudden 21, 22 hits, you graduate, and you kind of have this oh shit moment, like, oh, I'm really on my own now. I never really spent these 4 years figuring out what it is that I really want to do. So let me take the first thing that throws a paycheck at me, and then that turns into 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Time freaking flies, man. I mean, like just back in back in late 2020, when I was taking those tests to get in with Craneworks, I realized that like my ability to sit down and study, my ability to sit down and read, A, I'm blind as a bat. B, I just don't have that. Like, give me a test online that's 100 questions, and dude, it doesn't register like it used to.
Yeah.
Like, it took me some time. I did all right, but at the same point, if you get that chance to go to college when you're 18 years old, God almighty, do it. Like, it's, of course, do it. Don't neglect it. But at the same point, you can make it without it. Like, you can be all right.
100%. Yeah. It's all about figuring. Again, it just boils down to like, who is it that you really want to be? And I think that that's where I think it's been cool to watch like your own personal life, like evolution. Like, I've gotten that front row seat to where like you were in landscape, you thought there was other things out there, into like where you are now. How long have you been with Craneworks now? It's very short.
Going on 6 months now.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I left a good job, good pay, but I knew that me and you had this conversation a bunch. It was, I was going back and forth, left good people, all that stuff, but I knew that there was something bigger out there for me. It was not a malicious move. There wasn't anything wrong. It was that I didn't feel like I feel like this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but like, everybody's put on this planet for something. Mm-hmm. And if you're not living up to that, there's something wrong. You end up you get bored with it makes everything miserable.
Well, it's the idea of, well, this is where most people live, is once they get a job and after a few years and kind of the honeymoon phase of the new job is over, is you just become so familiar with it, is you never really grow as a person anymore. And I think that was like another light bulb for you was like, holy hell, like I want more. Like, I want to grow as a person. I want to be around people that will like are playing the game, if you will, the game of life, the game of sales, the game of business, whatever it is, at a higher level than me. Let me get around those people and like see what else is on the other side, and see where this path, ultimately takes me. Because there's still more, right? Like, that's the fun stuff about life is like, it doesn't just stop.
I've only scratched the surface, and I feel like I'm in a whole new world right now. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely mind blowing how different this world is than what I was in. And hell, it all started back when we ran that first race. It was kind of like a mental check. It was like, dude, if you can go, I ain't never ran more than a mile in my life before we decided to go do that damn triathlon. And it was like, well, if I can spend 8 months figuring out how to swim, run, and bike, why should that not apply to everything? Why should that not apply to all of life?
And I think that like that is the number one reason is why I sporadically end up like sending those texts of like, all right, dude, I need more. Like, and I know I got to become more as a person. And let me get outside of this comfort zone. It's like the old story goes, is when I was swimming for old HBT, Blue Thunder, up there at the rec, and the coach pulled my mom to the side and was like, hey, is that your son, Ryan? Mom's like, yeah, Ryan's my son. He was like, oh man, great kid. Can't swim worth a shit, but great kid. Like,
he's a drowning threat. We're gonna need to pull him out.
We actually keep the floaties on him while he's swimming. But that was the whole concept of like, let me find something, because it translates over, right? Like, getting out of my comfort zone on the ability to swim, bike, and run, or do something distance, in terms of like physical activity, directly correlates into the ability to step out of my comfort zone, or whether it's having a conversation with somebody, or just growing my own business. So want to make, because we're kind of getting to that halfway point, is want to make a shift too, is you have a really cool, unique perspective in terms of young athletes. A, you were one at one point, and then B, you have a middle school athlete currently. So for you, like, what are some of the biggest, I would say, like maybe differences, but also like hurdles in terms of like parenting young athletes today, in terms of like what you can remember like coming through as a middle school, high school athlete, and where Maria is now?
I mean, just looking back on when we were younger, and I mean, dude, I don't know about you, but some of my fondest memories of growing up were Saturdays up at Shades Mountain Ballpark,
Oh yeah,
playing a doubleheader,
LA Dodgers.
oh, dude, dicking around on the playground afterwards. Like, I mean, and now I think those days, from what I understand, Maria plays middle school volleyball. She's getting ready to play golf. She's played some flag football. She's played some soccer. And I coached for a couple of years just because I'm a goofball. I love kids. I love being around them. But for the most part, I wanted to show her the ropes of, hey, you can have a blast. You can have fun. Winning is irrelevant out there in kids sports. It's really, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, dude, I learned the ugly truth of it when we went for our first flag football draft, and dads were like cheating to get they're like, oh yeah, my son only carpools with these two twin boys who happen to be the best players in the league, so we've got to have them on our team. I was like, dude, y'all got to be kidding me, man. Like, I heard this stuff went on, but come on. But I think there is a huge disconnect right now, and I saw it when I was training some young baseball players back a few years back. The parents bringing in third, fourth graders and wanting them to take 200 cuts a night, 5 nights a week off season. And it's like, and I'll never forget the one that got me asked not to come back to the facility anymore was when I told a parent, I said, look, man, I said, your kid's coming in and he's getting better Monday, he's getting better Tuesday, and then he's going right back to the beginning Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I said, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time, you're wasting my time, and your kid is going to resent the sport. It's a shame to see that, because we grew up with a couple that were excellent ball players and excellent athletes in their own respective fields. And by the time we finished high school, by the time it really mattered, they couldn't stand the sport anymore.
Yeah.
And, I have been so blessed with Maria that she loves her sports, but she's got other things that occupy her time. She's big into the drama club. She's been in a bunch of plays. And I think it's so cool to see her doing that, because her brain's not focused on the volleyball match a couple weeks ago. It's so neat to see, because she is almost too competitive when she's out there. She takes everything personal on the court. I've had to wind her down a little bit, that this ain't life. This is a sport. This is literally supposed to be fun. And then, by the time you get to high school, it becomes a job. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. It's a commitment year round, and trying to make sure she enjoys it while she can, because it goes away so fast, man. And there's just a if you all you gotta do is get on Facebook. I mean, I love these parents and kids to death, but every damn baseball tournament somebody gets it's all travel ball. Kids get championship rings for coming in 15th place. It's like one of those things that I think I don't know. There's just, to me, it just looks like the value of going out and having some fun is going away. A buddy of ours, I won't name names, but I mean, his kid didn't make a elementary school level baseball team.
That's a thing.
Like, how does that happen? Like, dude, that's literally the years. I mean, remember we had kids on the Dodgers team that had to wear helmets in the outfield because they couldn't catch ball. We were worried about safety. Like, I mean, dude, and you have to have that, man. I just, it's sad and it's mind blowing, but I'll get to experience it coming up here soon. It won't be long before Owen will start having his own little activities, and I wish I could go back now. All those years I spent beating the hell out of myself playing football and baseball. Don't get me wrong, loved them, but I wish I'd have played golf and chess and learned how to play an instrument, because that
Yeah.
shit you can actually do something with afterwards.
Yeah.
If 5'10", $175, soaking wet and white, you're not going a whole lot of places at the NFL combine. They're Alex, you know what I mean? Like, there's just some reality part of that's got to be brought into play.
Yeah, it's crazy how much it shifted, especially like in youth sports. Is there was you can appreciate, I'm sure you know the name, Eric Cressy, who's like kind of the big name in terms of like baseball trainer and like training the professional guys. He put out something a couple days ago, and he was like, it's interesting how the World Series just wrapped up and travel ball's still going. So his point was that youth baseball season is longer than professional baseball season. And he was like, basically like, somebody please enlighten me how the thought process, behind this, where, again, they're practicing 4, 5, 6 days a week year round. When we came up, it was very like, we practiced on Tuesday night and played like Saturday morning.
You get to hit in the cage before the game, like
yeah, that was
raining. Like, my God. I'll tell you, I don't read much from AL.com because their writers have run out of shit to talk about. But there was an article that came out just the other day. Hoover's got a really good volleyball coach up at the high school, and I've heard all kind of good stories about him, how wonderful he is with girls. And he early retired, just up out of nowhere. Like, their season ended and he is walking away. And he was pretty candid in his interview. He said, it's the parents. He said, I love these girls. I love the sport. I love everything about volleyball. Cannot stand the parents. And that's a pretty telling tale of the times right now, man. That it's, there's a sickness with it.
It may be a thing back in Alabama, but when I moved out here, specifically, I've seen it in youth baseball, volleyball, and soccer. There's club contracts. Like, there's non-competes with a 4th grade soccer player.
That is ridiculous. Get the hell out of here. If I sell my house and move to another neighborhood that's closer to another place, you can kiss my ass if you think I'm not going to move my kid out of their soccer team. Like, come on, man. Like, this is
insane. I was like, because they were like, hey, it got brought up because some of the parents and I were talking, and they were like, oh, like tomorrow's signing day. And I was like, oh, like, are you guys going thinking like this high school kid's like going to sign? They're like, no. Like, Susie has signing day tomorrow. I was like, Susie's in 3rd grade. They're like, yeah, we have to determine which club like we're going to sign with and let them know. I was like, oh my, didn't even know. Like, oh Jesus. And
don't get me wrong. If everybody can parent, everybody loves their kids. I'm not calling anybody. There's nothing wrong with being super excited about what your kid does. I just feel like sports has just got this. Sports is a cool way to get to do some things, but at the end of the day, there's so much more. My God, there's so much more. And Maria, God love her. She's living proof of that. People see her out there on the court, and people see her on the field, and they think, man, y'all must be so proud. Everything's, she's so great, all this stuff. And it's like, y'all don't understand. We go home and deal with the real world shit after here. And it's so much more important than damn volleyball. I'm tell you something, that the little one downstairs napping right now, 2.5 years old, he's nothing compared to middle school girl drama starting up. Nothing.
Yeah.
He can come into my bedroom at night, hit me in the face with a hammer, and it's less problematic than some of the stuff coming out of Maria's middle schoolers. Well,
I was going to ask too is from a like 30,000 foot view in terms of, because that's literally the big thing that I've stepped into once I got out to Dallas was more of like the mentoring, and obviously the gymnastics realm has been like a big piece of the puzzle, and like helping them. And it's really the biggest thing is like helping them identify with themselves more than their sport. And for
Yep.
them, like obviously, yeah, most of them have been doing it since they were 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. That's the only sport that they've known. And so like that is such an important part of their identity. And so what that leads to is, a lack of, confidence in the outside world, a
Yes.
lack of like seeing themselves as valuable beyond anything except for when they're in the gym, because that's their comfort zone. So what are some of the big hurdles that, like, I guess you've seen in terms of like the confidence, the self-esteem, the feeling of value and worthiness within, young athletes, middle school, going to be high school athletes soon?
Uh, right off the tip of my tongue, I mean, these girls, especially in Maria's case, these girls, and also with the boys, they're hitting this age, this 12, 13, 14, they're hitting this age where your coaches have to flirt with that line between, you got to remember they're still young, you got to remember they're out here to have fun, and how do I prepare them for the ass chewings that are coming in the next couple of years, as if they still want to do this sport, if they're still good enough to do this sport, then it's a whole different world. And I think you have to be lucky enough to have a coach that can resonate with your kid. And watching Maria struggle with especially with volleyball, team sport, but she thinks everything she does is all that matters. And that's a huge, her self-esteem, her self-value, she gets, and she's an in the moment athlete. She thinks something's gone wrong, and it shows everyone in the stands, everyone on the court. They can tell Maria's rattled. And when she gets rattled, she's a firecracker. She don't mess around. And
to say the least.
Oh yeah, Dad. I mean, it's just wild. And that's like one of the biggest obstacle is like you parent, as everyone knows, parents don't know anything to the kids.
Yeah, for sure.
That huge obstacle is finding that person that they're involved with, whether it be a coach, an assistant coach, a trainer, a mentor, a gym that they go to, something to spend some time with them that has nothing to do with the sport.
Yeah.
And Maria loves her 8th grade volleyball coach, but in particular her 7th grade coach. Maria went through some real tough issues, and her coach and her kind of got through it, kind of bumped through it together. And it didn't have nothing to do with volleyball. It was some very deep issues that are for another day. But I tell you what, every time I see her, I go up and give her a hug.
Yeah.
And just let her know how much she means to me and to our family for helping Maria get through that, when obviously her number one goal is, it's volleyball season. We need to go win games. We need to go do this. But watching how she stepped back and approached it truly as a mentor was one of the most unbelievably cool things to see. And unfortunately, I don't think everyone has that. I don't think anywhere near close has that. That's why I love what you do. I loved it when you were here in Birmingham, and I love it now that you're out there, is that if you want to see how much someone can squat and then check it out 6 months later, there are a dime a dozen amount of people that can physically make you better, from an athletic perspective. But if you're going anywhere in that age range, that 10 all the way up to 18, the shit you're going through that your parents can try to help all day and night, but no kid ever listens to their parents at the end of the day. To see someone step in to be that mentoring role, to talk about the importance of, hey, like, I mean, I just think about it in my own perspective. If I could go back and be 16, 17 again, and have somebody say, hey, Alex, dude, all these people that you used to be better than at this, they've caught up to you because they've worked their ass off and you haven't. maybe you should lay off of chasing girls around and lay off of going to try and find a party and go home, get some sleep, go home, watch tape, go home. And having somebody besides your own folks to tell you that is instrumental. I can't tell you. And hell, that goes with life too, man. I mean, you got to find that at work. You got to find that everywhere, man. It's so important.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, a huge attribute of called being a human being is having connections and meaningful relationships. And so many people, their relationships, whether it be friends relationships, whether it be intimate relationships, whether it be work relationships, sports relationships, whatever it is most of them are very like surface level, right? Like there's nothing beyond it. Again, going back to what we talked about a little while ago in terms of like beyond, like somebody trying to help me grow or somebody questioning me in terms of like what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, or helping me understand of like why I'm actually doing it, right? Like that's like, to me, that's what people know me as, is like this person that asks 8 million freaking questions, because the idea is like, I'm going to ask you the questions because if you can tell me these answers, whether I believe it to be true, right, wrong, I'm totally indifferent to, is I want to know if you can articulate, what it is that you're either struggling with or whatever your beliefs are, because most people have this self-doubt, but they can't even articulate it. I'm like, well, you're just addicted to like not believing in yourself and you don't even know why.
And especially dragging that out of a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old. Oh my God, the things you could do.
Go ahead and block off half the day.
Oh, hell yeah. Those kids that, hey man, if you say anything more than you'll get $1 million right here on the spot. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we were all there. We've all been there.
Oh. Well, man, all right, let's kind of wrap this up. I got rapid fire a few questions for you. They're absolutely meaningless questions, but
my favorite.
It's fun. All right, favorite food?
Steak.
Favorite hobby?
Ooh, golf.
Really? Ooh, I would have guessed fishing. Beach or lake?
Oh, lake all day. Hate sand.
Why
Dude, sand getting in my crack, chafing me all day. Screw all that. Go to lake, get the same thing.
All right, last one. Dream vacation.
I've seen these pictures in Greece where the water's like the bluest blue ever. I don't even know this. I don't even know the city. It's Greece somewhere. I'll find it. Get me to Greece. I'll find it.
I'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll catch a cab.
Oh Lord. Well, man, I appreciate it. It's always fun to sit down and, like I said, shoot the shit with you and just talk. I think that you have a very unique perspective in terms of, being a former athlete, going through, high school, college sports, getting into your career, figuring out, life's puzzle and continuing to grow and develop. And then also the other side of it is having a young athlete, having a middle school, athlete, and knowing the hurdles and challenges and conversations that have to take place within all that. So it's always fun to have an in-depth conversation with you versus the ones that we have on a weekly basis.
Hell yeah, brother. I'm here to help, man.
Well, man, I appreciate it. And as always, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them down in that comment section. Let us know.
Oh, that's your boy.
Yeah, let us know anything that we can do. And as always, the biggest piece is being able to get like one piece of value from, the conversations that I have and the people that, I interact with, to be able to either get the wheel spinning, let them be thought provoking, or it's something that you can implement immediately in your life. So with that being said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are, whatever time it is, and can't wait to see you guys soon.